Welcome, everybody, to our January 23rd work session. I need to check with Commissioner Gowes on Zoom. Can you hear me, Commissioner? Okay, thumbs up.
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. We'll call this meeting to order. And Jennifer, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm sorry, I called you Jennifer. It's on my cheat sheet, and I follow it religiously.
I'm not offended.
My apologies. Keep going. All right. Oh, yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
Well, I didn't call you out for it either.
yeah, that was sweet.
It's one of those mornings. We're just
It is
having one of those mornings,
mornings.
everybody. All right, so we have no presentations today. So we'll move right on to citizen input. This is a time for anyone wishing to speak on any topic that's not already on the agenda. Come on forward, give us your name and address for the record. Seeing or hearing none. We'll move to consent agenda. There's the approval of the minutes, board and committee appointments, an award of contract for the library playground, a purchase of barrier system, and an emergency purchase order for the removal of and abatement of a slab at the old city hall, along with a settlement agreement. Are there any items to be pulled?
2D, please, Mayor.
That has to be a first.
What? She pulled her
No, I told her to. I knew she wanted to.
Did you just pull the barriers?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else have any items to be pulled? All right, so can I have a motion and a second to approve all of those other items besides the barriers?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, Vice Mayor and Commissioner Twonga. Anybody from the audience wish to speak to any of these items? Seeing or hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I forgot about you already. Sorry, Jeff. Okay. Did you just have a small question, or did you want a full presentation? No, it's one of those mornings, Jennifer.
It is.
I know you wanted to talk about this, so go ahead.
I did, thank you. Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. So I think that this is the first time in 6 years that I've actually pulled something myself off of consent, which is usually counterproductive as a city manager. But anyway, so that's what consent is for. But we're actually excited about the Meridian Archer barrier system, and I wanted to remind all of you that we did have a business plan initiative to include barriers in downtown in the CRA, and those barriers were in the right-of-way. We were looking at something that would come up out of the ground or screw into the right-of-way, into the roadway. We did find two issues with that. One is prohibitively expensive, and two, the issue with placing an immovable object within the right-of-way. So we did our homework, and we looked around a little bit at some of the new technology as far as barrier systems for special events. And Chief Handoga and Jory Peterson were working on this, along with Teresa, I think, was involved as well in some of the barrier system. And we did the Meridian Archer 1200 barrier system seemed to be the most purpose or likely to be useful within our right-of-way, as well as other areas in the city, as well as we're doing roadway improvements. During the course of our agenda briefings, you all had a lot of questions on the barrier system. So two things. Jory had actually put together a little PowerPoint about where the barriers would go and how we would use them, and I'm going to go ahead and pass these down to all of you if you'd like to have a look at those. Originally, if we were to put a barrier across every access way, ingress, egress into downtown, there'd be 72. We don't think that we necessarily need to do that. We can still use the trucks, which we're using now.
I'm sorry, does Jeff have any of this?
No, but I can send it to him via email
Okay.
as well. As soon as I'm done talking, I'll send it to him. So 72, we don't think that we need all of those. We can still put some of the trucks across the minor ingress, egress, points of ingress, egress within the downtown. The This item includes the purchase of 2 trailers to transport these systems, as well as a gate that would open and close to allow emergency vehicles in and out of the event area, as well as the vendors in and out of the event area. And so we do have a little video for all of you. I think, Jory, who's going to show us the video?
So Jeff will be able to see
Oh,
that, right?
back in the booth? In the booth. We'll send it to Jeff.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we'll show the video, and then I can answer any questions you have, as well as staff. Ours would not be this
I know.
That one of those cars looks like the mayor for a minute.
I want to see that truck hit it.
Thank you. And so, as you know, originally, we put the trucks across the ingress-egress, the main points of ingress-egress, in response to some of the issues that happened in Paris and some of the other large cities in 2017, 2018. But there are also instances of mistaking a brake with an accelerator or driving under the influence. This particular system will stop the car and may injure the driver, but won't necessarily result in a fatality automatically. And so we feel that this is a better system both for our events, and as I said, that would be Highlander, and it would also be some of the repairs that we make in rights-of-way, and certainly all of our downtown events as well. So we're recommending the purchase of the 2 trailers, of the gate, and 8 of the Meridian barriers. The Sheriff's Office has 24 that they purchased under a grant program, which they're willing to allow us to use. And so that'll bring 32 altogether, which we'll put across the main entrances. We did test the system. It is relatively easy to deploy. We could use a couple employees, which is probably similar in time and effort to the system that we put in place now, as far as moving the trucks and then the other barriers and barricades as well. So we're recommending approval, and I thank you for your time and allowing us to show you that video.
Okay, I'm going to go right to you, Commissioner Gao. Do you have any questions?
No, Mayor, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I was just, I was looking at what you sent me and with my question, and I'm sorry, but did you answer storage in here?
Yes, that is within the email. And actually, the storage, because they're stackable, for these barriers and additional barriers would be a couple parking spaces
Oh, okay.
as we store them. Yeah, they stack one on top of the other, so they're relatively easy to store. Or it's a, come on up, Chief. Chief did most of the research on this.
Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Michael Pandoti, Deputy Fire Chief. The units actually, they don't stack on top of each other, but they do stack forward to back. So you can get 8 of the barriers in one parking space, and then 8 onto a trailer. So they do work pretty, they are pretty compact when you use them.
Your microphone?
You say it again? No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. So will the 24 for the sheriff's office always be available to us?
Well, we'll give them a list of events throughout the year, and they'll make them available to us. If there's a conflict, I'm sure we'll know about it very early.
Okay. And did we get a price at all on the other method, the bollards?
No.
It was, speaking with city engineer, it's a non-frangible system that was not recommended to put into those places. The other issue is all of the utilities that are under the right-of-way there in the ground would have been an issue. Because these have to be actually put into the ground. Those would have to be sunk into the ground.
The other thing that I noticed in the video, which thank you for getting the video, because probably several of us had asked for something. And, I mean, when they hit those full steam, it goes a little bit. So, I mean, so the setback and, having a buffer area might be important too if you're going to avoid
Yes.
anybody being killed. And I assume, and when I'm looking up this setup at Doug, I could easily see that without some kind of buffer line or something, you could have people in there, so.
Yeah.
Those tests are done at 30 miles per hour. So one of the things that we have to our advantage is a lot of our streets in that area, it could be difficult to get up to 30 miles an hour and get a good,
Right.
head of steam on that.
Yeah, although somebody who wanted to probably could.
Absolutely.
And then just the separation, I assume there's a standard separation, and we figured for that by how many we need. Like they have to be so far apart.
Correct.
Okay. So, and just to be kind of transparent with my colleagues, one of my concerns was, the bollards are easy, pick them up, they're there, there's no storage, there's no transport, there's no labor. And for me, the storage is big too, because, I don't know if you got the same email I did, again, about traffic circulation over when we build a new pool and parking, and I become convinced that we're going to need to use some of that area over there, and that's where we store some of the stuff already for special events. So, but I don't think I have any other questions. Oh, I did have one question. With the gate, we didn't really see a picture of a car hitting the gate. What happens when the car hits the gate?
Very much like what happens with the barriers, the vehicle hits the gate and the barriers on either side come back around to almost encapsulate the car and defeat any forward progress on it.
Okay, so again, it cannot plunge through the gate. The gate's not going to break off.
These are all certified like through Homeland Security and the U.S. government as far as being certified. So they're, I believe, the only barrier that is certified, portable, movable barrier through.
Are they kind of considered the best practice type thing to use these days?
Yes, so these are used at major events throughout the country. In fact, they were in place for the Rose Bowl parade just a couple weeks ago, and they actually had a vehicle attack, essentially, where a vehicle went through and tried to go through, and the barrier system stopped it and eliminated any kind of threat.
Great.
And that was 3 weeks ago. So.
Okay, great, thank you.
Commissioner Torga?
Thank you, Mayor. As I understand, the bollards are pretty expensive, aren't they?
Yes.
Very expensive.
Yes.
Like 3, 5, 6, 8 times what this is.
At least.
Yes.
So-
and there are a hydraulic system which has to be maintained. So yes, there's a lot of things along with
Sort
that.
of answers that question. I asked that question before. The speed with what we see going on in the film, that's always relevant, of course, and the speed of a larger vehicle is always very relevant. I wonder what would happen if one of those big pickups, looks like they're going about 30 miles an hour there maybe. If they were going like 50 miles an hour, I wonder what happens. Did they show?
So the representative from the company says you would get a little bit further intrusion into to the safe area, let's just say. But ultimately, the way the barriers come around and they flip up, it will disable the vehicle. It will stop it, and it's just going to be a little bit further in.
I noticed or heard a comment about the storage of this. in a parking spot. Does it have to be stored in a parking spot, or it can be stored somewhere else, can't it? Or will we store these close to where we're going to utilize them? Is that what the point is?
Our initial thought is to store them at the Fire Training Center and the EOC. We do have some space that we could utilize there. If we were going to deploy them for a weekend event and we knew that they were going to be, deployed early Saturday morning, we would probably stage them a little bit closer in a parking space.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Walker, questions?
Yes, ma'am. So it appears that when the vehicle hits the barrier, it looks like there's something in effect that's disabling the vehicle, killing the engine. Is that correct?
So, yeah, the nice thing about these units is that they're all one piece, essentially. So as the vehicle hits the barrier starts going forward, but it flips up, and then it ends up, there's teeth on the back side of the barrier that will dig into the ground or the pavement, and then when it flips up, it's starting to disable the vehicle and just not allowing it to go any further.
And again, the concept of operations on this is that they would be basically deployed on the main thoroughfares. Is that kind of what
Yes.
we're thinking? Okay.
That it?
Yeah, that's it, yes.
I found it interesting that they were showing the truck in slow-mo, which concerns me. I mean, I heard what you just said, but why shouldn't it concern me?
Meaning what the,
Well, I mean, they show all the other normal-sized cars or even compact cars at full, in normal film speed, and then every time they show the big truck, which a lot of people have, just drive down the road, most people
Yeah.
have SUVs and trucks, and they consistently show it in slow-mo. It just worries me.
they have, through their testing and their certification process, it goes for the larger vehicles up to 30 miles an hour as well. So again, you may have a little bit further intrusion depending on the size of the vehicle, but ultimately it will stop. And I can look to see if there's any videos on a full speed, and I'll get that to you if needed.
Well, I don't need to see it, I just need to make sure you have.
Yes, yeah.
The other thing is, and I know this was just a mock-up on the PowerPoint, thank you, Jory. But, they're not, if you're not paying attention, I can see where you may not see them,
From a pedestrian standpoint or driver standpoint?
driver standpoint.
So the choice of color for us would be either a high visibility yellow or a red would be the two that are generally the more accepted. And we would also potentially put barriers in front of it, and we did that at the Pisces and living room intersection. We actually put out some regular A-frame
Road
and
closed.
a Type 3 barrier
Bob's
ahead of
barricade
it.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just, when you look at it, somebody's messing with their phone or, most people are going to know when the road's closed. They know that. We advertise it. But, and at night, it's just all of that. If somebody we have a lot of folks that don't live here, visitors that may not be paying attention, may not know the road is closed. It looks like it's hard to see.
So we could also, in addition to painting them like a high-vis yellow, which they would come from the manufacturer, the color choice that we want, we can add reflective through our sign shop that would be able to add some reflective borders on it and make it a little bit more visible. I will say, there was a Type 3 barrier at Virginia and Lake Haven when they were doing the water main. Type 3, it's the big one that has 3, and a car just crashed right into it because it's unfortunately, it may happen, but that's why they're there, especially to protect anybody on the other side of that.
Yeah. Well, those bollards coming up and down, the same thing would happen for sure.
Even worse, really.
Yeah, even worse. So I'm just trying to ask the right questions because so many people don't pay attention to the road. Okay, anybody from the public wish to come forward and speak to this item? Seeing or hearing none, can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Vice Mayor and Commissioner Twanga. Any final comments from anybody?
I just wanted to thank Jennifer, the video, and Michael, and both of you, sorry. And actually, for this, I think it really helps to kind of understand it. It's unfortunate that we have to do this, but you're right, there can be some things that happen regardless of intent. But I think it's important for our community with so many special events, so I think it's good. So, thank you.
Commissioner Twanga, anything?
I appreciate the safety and security side of this on all angles, including even doubling up. I think that's just a great idea, putting something there that's going to immediately alert someone, and then something that's actually going to stop it. So I think we should be applauded for that. Thank you.
Commissioner Gao? Anything?
No, just safety, security. It's sad we're to this point, but something that we have to do.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like it's an efficient way to secure the streets. The only thing I would add is that I think in the issue, because we addressed the issue of visibility, I would expect that there'd still be a plan to put road closure signs in advance of the actual barriers. So, yeah, all right. That's all I've got. Thanks.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll move on to action items. We have the first item is our 2024 fleet replacement plan, and staff is recommending to postpone this item to February 6th. Can I have a motion to postpone?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Vice Mayor and Commissioner Walker. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, now we have the award of the construction of Lofty Pines Septic to Sewer in the total amount of $668 and $668,165. I will look to our wonderful staff.
Good morning, Mayor, Vice
Good
Mayor,
morning.
Commissioners. I'm Mary Sheets. I'm the city engineer. I'm here this morning to give you a little information on this project that we're proposing. This is the Lofty Pines Septic to Sewer program that is located in unincorporated Pinellas County. But however, the actual area falls within the Dunedin Sanitary Sewer Service area. Presently, all of the residents in this area rely on septic systems, and these septic systems are failing, and they discharge into the into the Jerry Creek branch of the Curlew Creek watershed. And this watershed is impaired for nutrients and fecal chloroform under the Federal Clean Water Act. So research has concluded that these septic tanks are failing and significantly are impairing this watershed. To improve the water quality, the City of Dunedin is proposing to eliminate all of these septic areas, and we've worked with Pinellas County to secure partial funding from the state of Florida so that the septic systems can be phased out. Subsequently, the design of this project has been done with in-house staff. This construction includes the installation of the public infrastructure within the right-of-way, but will provide the availability of service whenever the adjacent properties choose to connect to the system. They'll have stub outs at the right-of-way line, and it'll be the property owner's responsibility to connect to them. The engineering staff held a resident meeting on January 3rd, 2024, with the residents in this area to discuss the scope, and the affected property owners came. Representatives from 6 of the 15 affected homes were at the meeting. The project was described to the citizens. They were told that connection was completely voluntary. Many of them did have concerns about the cost of connection, and city staff advised that both the county and the city were exploring reimbursement methods to work with them. A follow-up letter was sent to the residents informing them that construction contract was being presented to the commission today for approval. And we're using TLC Diversified of Palmetto as a piggyback onto a Pinellas County contract that has favorable prices because it was procured several years ago. And this contract was competitively bid and awarded by Pinellas County. The scope and fee provided by the contractor was reviewed and approved by the city's purchasing agent and has been approved as to form by the city's attorney. This is a very important environmental project, and so staff thereby recommends awarding the Lofty Pines Septic to Sewer Phase 1 construction contract to TLC Diversified in the amount of $668,165.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Jeff, I can't see you, so you just have to speak up. Do you have any questions on this?
No questions, comments, but no questions.
Okay, thank you. Vice Mayor?
So we don't really know the cost of the total project when it's all put together, not just this phase. This phase is like $150,000
This
after the
phase-
grant,
Yes, after the grant, you are correct.
and that'll come out of impact fees?
Yes, impact fees will be used to pay the city portion.
Okay, and so as we bid this, we'll know the cost, even though, I mean, I know we did an estimate of what, like over 2 million, but we all believe it'll be much more than that to get all the phases done. But as much as that is possible will come out of impact fee money.
Yes, we have limited opportunities to utilize our impact fee money, and this is one of the ones when you expand your system. So yes, we will use impact fees to offset the cost of this.
And just to clarify, so the letter that went out to the residents notifying of today's meeting, it was directly addressed to each person in that affected area?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect, thank you.
Commissioner Torga?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, this is obviously from the $500,000 grant, and obviously we have a state and we have a county that's really interested in cleaning this up, and it's expensive. The whole project way into double millions, but we have to do this. The question that I have is, I've just assumed that the results of the contamination into the creek has been followed and has been verified. Is that correct?
Yes, and we have a representative who has been involved from the beginning of this project. Kelly Levy with Pinellas County, the Public Works Director, is here, and she's been working on this project for many years, and she's prepared to speak to that and to what the county has to offer to the unincorporated residents, if you want to entertain her as well.
Yeah,
would love
Kelly,
to.
I'll call you up in just a quick second. Let me get all the questions out of the way. Anything else, Commissioner Torga?
That'll be great, thank you.
Commissioner Walker, any questions from you?
I'll hold my questions until the county
Okay.
comes up. Thanks.
Kelly, come on down. And thank you for being here.
Thank you very much for inviting me here today. My name is Kelly Hammer-Levy. I'm the Public Works Director for Pinellas County, and I'm super excited about this. I know it's a long time coming. Nan mentioned I've been part of this for quite some time and worked on the state appropriation that ultimately brought some dollars to this project. To your question, sir, yes, we pulled the data from 2015 to present. And each year, 42 to 80% of the time, the water quality exceeded the bacterial standards for state waters. So it is definitely impaired and exceedingly so. Obviously, during rain events, a lot more of that septage ends up in the creek than during dry periods. We had a drought this year. So it is tied to the rainfall, but it is definitely verified impaired. To that point. Something else that we had brought to the table when we went with the appropriation is we knew that connection is expensive. Decommissioning a septic tank, having it pumped out, having it, effectively removed from the property is expensive. And so we propose to allocate Restore Act dollars, that's from the oil spill dollars in the county's multi-year implementation plan to fund that. It is an eligible activity. The Treasury considers that pollution removal, and so that is an eligible activity that we can fund through Restore Act. As a matter of fact, our own utilities department is ramping up a septic to sewer conversion program, and we're allocating dollars into a pot of money that these residents can apply for to pay for that portion of the overall connection. So it's not a forever, it's not going to, that money won't be there forever, so it'll be kind of a first come, first serve, but definitely we had allocated funds for 120 residents for this project. So, the entirety of the project, we would pay for the permit, the decommissioning, and effective removal of the septic tank for the resident.
What's involved in that application? You said apply, so what's involved? Is there a criteria they have to meet besides what you just described, their removal, or?
We would be proposing to follow a similar process that our utilities department recently put in place for what's called the leaky lateral program, where private laterals are contributing to inflow issues within our own sanitary sewer system. Whereby, there's a certain amount of money where we'll have to determine, what is a typical cost, working with the health department and Department of Environmental Protection, what is a typical cost for this process? We know how much the permit costs. And then we will reimburse the resident up to an amount. If you go onto the county's website and you want to look at the lateral program, there's an inspection program that the county pays for 100% of the inspection, then up to, I think it's like $2,800 for your lateral replacement. So in this case, I would propose to set it up almost identical because we already have it in place and it's working.
So there's no financial criteria or anything like that?
No, if they're within an area, they have a septic tank in their unincorporated residence, that we want them to connect to sanitary.
Okay. Any other questions for Kelly?
No, it's great.
No? Thank you, Kelly. Oh, sorry, Jeff?
Yeah, Mayor, thank you. Kelly.
Kelly, sorry.
Almost made it out.
Sorry, Kelly, my apologies. Does the county have any data on tracking permits on the number of residents in that neighborhood that have pulled permits to maintain their septic tanks or to install new septic tanks to replace the ones that they have?
Yes, we requested that data of the state and received all of that and provided that to the Dunedin staff. So as you would expect, the septic tanks in that area are very old. In this particular stretch, not even all the houses have pulled a permit since the early 90s for any type of repair or anything, so we know they're old. Some of them have, within phase one, have pulled repair permits, but not all of them. So if there's nothing on record, that means it predates 1990, so they're way beyond their life cycle.
And what is the life cycle of a septic tank?
Well, because these were installed probably in the 70s and 80s, those were typically around 15 years. A more modern septic tank can last up to 30 years if it's properly inspected, maintained, pumped down, and all of those things. But the records that the state has with regard to pulling permits for those things is pretty slim.
Thank you very much.
Wow, that's scary.
Right.
Anything else? Jeff?
No, ma'am, that was it.
Okay. Thank you. Did you have any other questions? Because you said you were going to wait until after she spoke. I do have.
So my understanding is that getting the sewer, access to the sewers is, that's what this is paying for, but I understand it's a voluntary program by the residents. Is that a correct assumption?
Correct.
And is there any, it sounds to me like there's funds available for the residents to do the connection if they so desire? Or is that a cost that we incur?
It's not the connection, right? It's the removal of the old septic system.
There, and Kelly can clarify if I misstate for sure, there are funds available for the abandonment, for pumping out and abandoning and the permit of the tank. The actual construction of the lateral would be on the property owner.
But what does that
connects
normally
their sanitary sewer coming out of their home to the clean out at the right-of-way where the city's going to terminate our project. All of our work will be city-owned infrastructure, and we will terminate right at the property line with a clean out that makes for an easy connection for them when they hire a plumber to do so.
Okay, so that's a cost, though, that they incur, the residents, that connection.
Yes,
part
at
of it.
this point, we don't have an alternate. I don't believe the county does
Yeah,
either.
the federal dollars cannot be used for the lateral unless the lateral is owned by the local government, which most local governments do not want to own a lateral line that is all the way up to the house.
Okay.
It would have to be in an easement, so it creates.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you. Just thanks for the clarification.
Well, how much does a lateral normally cost?
It depends on the property.
Give me a rough estimate. Just a normal house.
$3,000 to $5,000 for a normal residential house. I mean, it could be less, it could be more, depending on the run, depending on the number of trees
Gotcha,
in between.
gotcha.
Basically, you're
3
installing
to
a
5
pipe.
tells me what I need to know, but I guess the other question would be, similarly to what we did with reclaimed water back in the day when we hooked everybody up, they did a finance plan over 20 years on their bill.
Correct.
So my question is, can we do the same thing with the lateral?
Yes, the capital recovery fee that we do for reclaimed water
Oh,
is
because we
based
don't
on
own
the-
it. Because, never mind.
I mean,
I had
this
to
is,
I had to say it out loud to, gotcha.
Can I
Because-
jump on that, too?
Yeah.
But then comparatively, most people come on when they fail, probably, right? So when they fail, Department of Health won't approve them to fix their septic, so they'll be forced to come on. So in a sense, it's voluntary, but it won't be when it fails. So the question is, if Health Department allowed them to fix the septic, what's the normal cost they get into if they had to replace a septic when it fails?
I haven't priced it out personally lately, but I do live in an area that we did this in our neighborhood, and people that were replacing their drain fields back in about the early 2000s were paying about $9,000 or $10,000 for a new drain field.
So that's probably 15 at least now.
So,
So again, it's a huge benefit in that way, and property value, it's a huge benefit, correct?
correct. When the city came through Spanish Trails and did a project like this, they, at that time, hired, I believe it was 3 real estate appraisers to appraise what the increased value to somebody's property would be with or without sanitary sewer. The average of that was $5,500. So at that time, because the city was investing in our property and increasing the value, we were all assessed $5,500 for the project. And we were either allowed to pay it all at once, or it could be put on a payment plan on our utility bills. And that's how they handled it within the city boundaries. The uniqueness about Lofty Pines is that it's in unincorporated Pinellas,
Yeah.
and they're not city residents. And so that makes that a little bit more unique than some of the other programs that we've done in the past.
Any other questions from anybody? Anybody from the public wish to speak to this item? Okay. I need a motion and a second to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Vice Mayor and Commissioner Twanga. Any final comments?
No, I mean, this is something I think we have to do for our environment. I'm so appreciative, Kelly, to the county for having that program, because it does help offset a lot of the costs. And of course, you know, it'd be great if people get on board before they have to, but if they have to, I mean, I think it's a clear cost benefit to them, to me. So I think this is, again, we have to do as much of this as we can for our environment.
Commissioner Torga, anything?
Yes, I would like to just say that I really appreciate the state's activity in this and the county's backing us up and realizing that we need to do this. I think everyone feels that this has to be done. So here we go.
Thank you. Commissioner Gao?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, it is all about protecting our environment and doing what we can to protect our watershed. Failing septic tanks have shown to prove to be a contributing factor in the contamination. So it's a good project. The time is now. We need to do this. And it is nice that the state is stepping in and they're giving some help to reduce the cost for any residents that might want to participate.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Walker?
Yeah, this is absolutely a must-do project, and I'm excited by the collaboration and partnership with the county and the state on this. That's great. Thank you.
I agree with everything that's been said. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, guys. All right, now we're going to go to the award construction bid for chlorine contact chamber rehabilitation in the amount of $858,000 and change. Nan?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Nan Bennett, Utilities Director, and I have with me Brian Antonian, our wastewater treatment plant manager. So disinfection of the treated water is one of the most critical processes of the wastewater treatment process. The basin in which we do that disinfection is called a chlorine contact chamber. It's basically a concrete structure that allows the water to slowly meander and allows time for the chlorine to have contact with the water and kill or inactivate any kind of pathogens that could have possibly made it through the rest of the process. Our chlorine contact chamber has been in service continuously since it was constructed back in 1991. We have coated it 2-3 times? This would be the third time. The third time that this would be. And what we're asking today is to go in there and recoat and rehabilitate the chlorine contact chamber. Basically, the coating that's on there has failed, is pulling away from the wall. It no longer is protecting the the concrete from the chlorine. The chlorine is aggressive towards concrete, so we need a coating on there to protect it. It also helps by recoating this. It helps us optimize our chlorine dosage. It doesn't use as much chlorine, which is a chemical, obviously, that we pay for. The water that is then treated goes through the system. If it's going into the reclaim system, we leave what's called a chlorine residual so that continues to help maintain the distribution system of the reclaimed water system. If it's going out to the sound, then we dechlorinate it before it goes out to the sound. We had the rehabilitation designed by one of our general engineering consultants, Arcadis, and they were advertised, the plans and specs were advertised and bid. We were able to receive 5 bids for this project. Shamrock Restoration Services of Brooksville was the lowest responsive bidder with a bid of $858,548.90 to recoat these, and staff recommends approval of this bid to Shamrock Restoration Services.
Thank you. Any questions for Nan?
I do. Nan, we saw the tabulations and we saw what a spread. What a huge spread. Was that, I'm not questioning our capacity to do the bids. I'm just wondering how they were so far off. Going from roughly 0.8 to 1.6 million.
We have called in Shamrock. Brian and I asked them to come in after the bids were open and asked them if they were comfortable with their bid. Part of what they're doing includes a big part of what they're doing includes bypass pumping of the wastewater while they do the work. And so we were verified that they understood, they had a legitimate company on board to do the bypass pumping. They understood the fueling of the equipment that they had to do through the whole time. and they expressed that they've done multiple projects like this, and they were comfortable with their bid, and that they had accounted for, all of the components. So
Thank goodness.
we asked the same question of them
Thank you.
directly because of the spread in the bids.
Thank you for doing that. That's great. That's a process that I wouldn't suspect there's very many people that do that, yet we had what, 6 bids? I never even heard of that before, 5 bids?
Mm-hmm.
Never even heard of that before. How long does that last once it's done?
The coding or
Yes. The coding?
Since 2006.
the coding we have on there has been there since 2006. There have been some repairs made to it, but it's been installed since 2006.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gao, any questions? No?
No, ma'am, I'm good.
Okay. Commissioner Walker?
No, ma'am, no questions.
Okay, anybody from the public wish to speak to this item? All right, come back to the commission. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Vice Mayor and Commissioner Walker. Any final comments?
Yeah, I mean, I think this thing was initially constructed in 1991. In 1991, we had a crisis in water and wastewater, and those plants were built, and I think that's a challenge of our commission as we see that, a lot of stuff's needing to be repaired and replaced. It does feel good, like John said, that, we got 5 bids, and we got a good one at almost half the price of the top one. So, again, properly treating our wastewater's a critical service. So I fully support what we're doing.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I just want to say the spread in the bids is quite remarkable, but I do appreciate the due diligence that went into this, and looks like we selected a good one. Thank you.
Anything from you, Commissioner Gao? No? Commissioner Tornger, anything?
No, but thank you for checking that bid and making sure that it was a good bid. Thank you.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We go to the proposed agenda for February 6th. Work session. Just normal stuff, and then our workshop items are strategic planning update and the general fund update. Any changes or adjustments? Okay. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Gao and Vice Mayor, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Before we jump into this heavy discussion, let's just take a quick 5-minute break.
Oh, good.
Coffee break. Okay? Hang in there, Jeff. Okay, welcome back. We'll call the meeting back to order, and we'll move on to our workshop item, the Duke Energy Skinner Boulevard Complete Streets Lighting Agreement. Bob?
Absolutely. Why did my graphic pop up?
I don't know.
Okay, I'll need some help with this. I don't know, right here. Here. Keep it on the screen. Help.
James is getting his workout today.
Thank you, thank you. Bob Ironsmith, Director of Economic Development and Housing, here to talk to you a little bit about the Gateway. As you recall, we had a developer there, Gateway LLC, and due to some economic aspects, inflation, construction.
Sorry,
This-
I just
okay.
have to stop for a minute.
Okay, sure.
My agenda she gave me said the Duke Energy contract on Skinner,
Oh,
and my agenda clearly says on the computer Gateway.
very good.
It's your fault. Sorry about that. That's why I was like, oh,
Oh.
you're the one to present?
Okay.
Never mind.
Okay. Understand.
Jorge would be overjoyed if Bob
Right.
presented Duke.
Right, that's what I was like, I thought it would have been Jorge. Go ahead.
Yeah, he'd be smiling for sure. So let me start again. So it's Bob Ironsmith, Director of Economic Development and Housing, here today to talk to you a little bit about the Gateway. As you recall, we were looking for the Gateway to be developed. We had a developer there, a strong one, Gateway LLC, which was Mr. Kokolakis. Due to various aspects within the economy, inflation, construction prices, and so on and so forth, interest rates with financing, this project did not occur. It was a mixed-use project with a hotel, apartments, and retail. We then received a request from Gateway LLC to terminate the development agreement, and that's where we are today. We're in the process of looking to terminate that agreement, and we're looking to start with kind of a clean slate. And that was a request of Mr. Kokolakis. One of the aspects with the development agreement, and actually the deed covenants, is the opportunity for the city to acquire a portion of that property back if so desired. And along with that, the city would need to look to do an appraisal and then have negotiations. What you see on the screen in yellow is the property that the city has the option on to purchase. And what we're here today is to get consensus direction on whether we want to go forward with an appraisal and go forward with some negotiations with the developer to acquire that. My recommendation includes a couple items. One, if we were looking to purchase that, it would have a fragmented site plan, making it very difficult to acquire. The other aspect is my discussions with the developer, Mr. Kokolakis. He is now looking at a new concept, which would include a boutique hotel and some retail. And of course, many of the positives with the Gateway LLC is a proven track record in the downtown, the financial capability to do this, and a proven track record all in all. But today, what we're here to discuss is, does the city want to move forward with an appraisal? Do they want to move forward with any type of option? That yellow area is about 1.3 acres. Mr. Kokolakis owns the other piece there just to the east, and he also owns the piece, just to the west, and he also owns a piece to the east, which, if you recall, was Soggy Bottom. And so all in all, that piece is just a little bit kind of under 4 acres, and of course that would encompass the hotel and some retail. But bringing it back, it's really for me to field questions that you might have, and really to get consensus on whether the commission wants to go forward with an appraisal. That would be step one. The next step would be to look to do a negotiated sale price if the city desired to acquire that. The developer has the right to reject that, and then we would go out for a third appraisal and look to average the prices between them, and then look to purchase it. The developer has indicated he's not looking to sell. He still wants to go forward with a development project. I just talked to him yesterday. He's in Greece. He's out of the country. And that's where we are today relative to this project. Of course, this has a long history. I mean, I've been here a long time, as you all know. This was purchased in 2004. We negotiated a price of $2.1 million. And yes, we've had several groundbreakings. I'm looking forward to the next one that becomes a reality. But I think this is just an ideal piece. The downtown is still very, very strong, as you all can see. And the hotel is really a concept that we really would like to have. It's what's called a captured market. A hotel has people that leave the hotel and go ahead to the retail and to the restaurants, and offsets a lot of the online activity that happens today that we all do. So be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay. Vice Mayor, questions?
One question, Bob, I don't have a question, we talked a lot about this offline. If we were to get the appraisal, though, we don't have to commit, do we have to commit to purchasing when we get the appraisal? Or can we get the appraisal, then decide we want to or we don't?
Yes, you could get the appraisal independent of looking to move forward with some type of option on that. Yes, you could. But I think there is something, and I might defer here to City Attorney Isabel here too, is I think if we're looking to go in that direction, I think we need to give notice to the developer. I think it might be there in the deed covenants. I don't know if you recall that or not, but I'd have to take a quick look.
I'm sorry.
I'd have to take a quick look, but I think it might say we have to give notice, but I don't.
Yes, we do have to give notice as to whether we're going to repurchase the tract. However, that time period is not as clear as perhaps we would want it to be.
So we could do an appraisal independent of looking to do notice to the developer?
That is correct.
If so desired. So to answer your Vice Mayor, that would be the response to you.
That's my only question right now. Thank you.
Sure.
Commissioner Torunga, questions?
Why would we do an appraisal at this point in time? Would it be, I mean, there's a cost to doing the appraisal, and it's probably not great, but it's still money. Second of all, if we had some concepts of why we would want to do this appraisal, we have an owner now who is working towards putting something on that ground, as I understand, as I've been told. So I'm not sure why do we go down this street? It would be very costly to purchase that property, I would assume. We have to come up with the cash to do that, or borrow. And then that's would it be just to turn it around to have somebody else work on it?
Yeah, I think I certainly could do the appraisal independent. It would just really be a benchmark indicator, but as you mentioned, yeah, it would certainly, moving forward, it would just become more involved to do that. And, it's not something I would recommend at this point in time to do the appraisal. The cost I put in there for appraisal is anywhere from, $3,000 to $5,000. And of course, might be helpful in some ways, but in a lot of ways, yeah, it wouldn't quite get us to where we want to get to, I think, at this point in time. But that would be the first step in the process, if so desired.
Thank you. You answered my questions.
Okay.
Commissioner Gao?
Thank you, Mayor. I might have missed it, Bob, but what was it that precipitated this being an agenda item? Is it contingent? Is it a contingent upon anything?
Yeah, yes, Commissioner Gao. What precipitated this is there's deed covenants along with a development agreement that gives the city the right to look toward purchasing it. And in order for city attorneys to prepare the draft termination, they need this question answered. So once this question is answered one way or the other, then they'll go ahead and finish up the termination draft, and that will go to Mr. Kokolakis and staff to be reviewed. So it's a step that needs to be have some finality to before the draft termination can be finalized.
If I can just elaborate, Mayor.
Sure.
The step would be whether or not the city wishes to take up the option to repurchase the property. In order to do that, the first step is to do the appraisal to find out what the value is, then have a discussion on the dais about whether or not you want to take the option, and then move forward or not. So the step, it's not agendized because of the appraisal itself, Commissioner. It's agendized because the appraisal leads to the next step, which is the City Commission discussion about taking up that option.
Okay, and so this all falls back to the agreement. And here's my thought process is I like the idea of us having some leverage in the development of that property. If we say no, we're not interested now because the developer wants to maintain that property with the possibility of a future development, I don't see any value in that. But if at some certain time the developer decides, no, he's no longer interested in the property at all, are we foregoing an opportunity to repurchase our property? So the next developer, we've got some leverage. Is there a need to have that leverage? Can we leverage the project in other ways other than controlling the land? If you understand my thought process.
No, I understand. You want to hold the developer accountable to either do the project or to move on. I understand exactly what you're saying.
Or to have a say-so in the project.
Well, you're always going to have a say-so on the project because you're going to go through development review and you're going to go through the various stages at the city relative to what the project looks like. As far as overall leverage, the only thing I could think of really is, for him to come up with some type of plan. I was talking actually to Community Services Director George Kinney here, have him show us a plan before you look to do away with that ability to do the appraisal and the option. It's just a real fragmented landscape, unfortunately, with all the different parcels. Independently, they're not as worth as much as they are together. And that's really what the problem is today.
Well, right, because if Joe wants to continue with that development, to my mind, it doesn't make any sense for us to undo this deal to just have to tie it all up again in the future. But if Joe wants to sell that property in the future, does it make sense for the city to hold on to that piece? This way, I guess.
No, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, you want the options based on what the developer's going to do here, whether he's going to sell or what he's going to develop.
Right.
Yeah.
Can that be part of the decision, or is this all about the agreement that's before us today?
Well, I think there's a couple things on the table. This is the first step with terminating the development agreement. But when you terminate the development agreement and you give up this option, then you lose some of those capabilities that you talked about. So then the next step is whether you want to go in that direction or not. One of the things that's interesting here is we have a proven developer that's got $75 million worth of investment downtown, who's saying this is what he wants to go forward with. So it's a little different than if we went out for an RFP with an unknown. So it's a little bit different type of situation.
Okay, and what is the impact of the Jernigan tract with this agreement?
The impact of the Jernigan tract, and of course, I'm trying to think this through because I know where you're trying to get to. The Jernigan tract, he is looking to donate that to the city for his tax benefit there. He purchased it for $292,500. You also get some transfer development rights off there, which are already done. Those are in place because it's a separate recorded instrument. He's looking to donate that at this point in time, in conjunction with the termination of the development agreement.
Right. Those are all the questions I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Commissioner Walker?
Yes, ma'am, thank you. You mentioned the deed covenants part. Is there an expiration date on that, or is timeline imposed?
I'm going to defer to Isabella on that one, relative to a time period with terminating it, as far as the deed covenants are recorded, right?
They were recorded alongside of the special warranty deed that transferred the property from the city to the developer, yes, that's correct.
So then I guess there wouldn't be any expiration date relative to that, right? I mean, I guess what I'm hearing from Commissioner Walker and Commissioner Gao is there a time period with losing the ability to purchase this if so desired? I guess if a decision is, if I'm understanding both of you right, if a decision isn't made, does this thing just stay in, perpetual?
Well, at this point, I wouldn't say that there's a specific timeline in the covenants and restrictions or the special warranty deed, or however, it is tied to the timelines in the development agreement.
Yeah.
And at this point, the development agreement has not been complied with by the developer. So that's how I would frame it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think this through, and I did talk with Community Services Director George Kinney a little bit. We did talk, and he had a pretty good idea. I think what I'm hearing is we don't want to lose ability for something, but we also don't want to disincentivize a project, is kind of what I'm hearing. And we have a proven developer. I think we all agree on that. So how do we at least try to encourage and move it? And go back to what Mr. Kinney said there. Maybe what you do is ask him to come forward with a site plan then on this, a conceptual site plan. Here's what I am looking to do before you give up some of these ability. If we sit in a perpetual, just kind of nowhere land and don't go forward with it, terminate, that's going to be a big disincentive for him. I can assure you of that, and I don't know if that's in the best interest of the city. By not getting this on the property tax rolls, we're probably losing anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000 a year in tax base. It's a big number. That's cumulative. So there's a lot at stake with this, independent of just a decision on whether to move forward with an appraisal or not.
Can I jump on, Commissioner? Just because I'm still not clear, because I agree with where you guys are going with this, and I'm not clear. By terminating the development agreement, I mean, if we don't take the option to purchase now, and when then we terminate, the option's gone forever, right? So then if in a year, Mr. Kokolakis decides, no, I actually don't want to develop, I'm going to sell the property, there's not an option at that point for us. That option's been lost.
I wouldn't frame it in that way. At this point, we need to move on. So the developer has not complied with the development agreement, which contains very specific deadlines. So at this point, it is my understanding the city's talks with the developer is that he wants to terminate the development agreement. He doesn't want to modify it. So at this point, in order to terminate it, we need to have an answer as to whether the city will be repurchasing this tract so that we can move on and kind of clean up everything in a very clean fashion and not be leaving loose ends out.
But that says to me, we need to make a decision. And if the decision is, no, we don't, well, if the decision's yes, we do, then we need to do it. We're going to have to do it. If the decision's no, it's not like it's a tentative decision, it's a permanent decision.
Correct.
Well, it's a permanent decision based on that document, but if he decides to sell a year from now, doesn't mean we can't put a bid in to buy it. I mean, there's no law stopping us.
Correct.
Well,
It's
yeah,
ju-
but we don't have a coin chip in the game. And I'm not saying
No,
which
you're
way I'm
true.
going on
You're-
this, but we
you're
don't have a coin
correct.
chip in the game.
You're correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I record that? Sorry.
Yeah.
Kidding. And sorry, took over a little bit for Commissioner
No,
Walker.
that's all right.
I mean,
really
I think,
appreciate that.
I'm sorry, Commissioner.
So it's good, the clarification on where we're at with the development agreement and essentially terminating the development agreement. I guess my question is that it sounds like we have, I'm assuming we have an expectation that the developer still wants to go forward with the original plan. The economic situation is what drove the decision to not build or not stick to the original timeline. Is that correct?
That's correct, Commissioner Walker. Let me just make a couple other points. The developer has bought adjacent property next to this. He's probably got $1 million in from the prior project that was just lost because it's not going forward with that. So he's got a lot of skin in the game, and I just want to make sure I represent that. So this is a little bit different than just holding his feet to the fire. He's already tremendously monetized in this project, and he just wants to go from where there was a residential component to strictly a commercial product. And he's got a lot of money invested in this. So it would be very hard for him to walk away and even come out, reasonably with this project because of what's been spent to date. If you remember, we all met with him on architectural. He spent a ton of money on site design, all the different aspects. He bought the Mike Quill property. He's got a lot in this. So this is a little bit different than just holding his feet to the fire as an unproven developer.
Yeah, no, I don't wish to imply, holding the feet. I just wanted to understand the timeline and the context of the agreement. Because I don't see a lot of advantage for us in whether doing an appraisal or even going forth with a purchase unless I'm missing something.
I don't either. The other extreme situation here is, okay, he doesn't go forward. Well, he's going to have to work with us, with a new developer, to sell it to get all the approvals and things needed. So this is a pretty strong partnership, regardless of what the outcome is. I think the outcome is going to be a development project. You know, I strongly believe in that. But if it wasn't, then we're going to help them with someone else get in here. If we have this fragmented landscape, it's going to turn off a lot of people. And frankly, developers like to work with developers, not always as interested in working with the city.
Yeah. All right, yeah, thank you. No further questions.
Did I cover everybody for questions?
I think so.
Okay. So essentially, we're just starting over.
We're,
It's completely starting over. He
we're,
decides whatever it is that he wants to do.
we're,
I'm sure Joe will listen to this, so I hope he does decide to develop it. I love the idea of a hotel and retail, and I'm just putting a plug in for meeting space, because we don't have it, and neither does North County have 250 seated space available between Clearwater Beach and Innisbrook. So I hope he wants to keep doing that, that idea. But if he does choose to sell it, it's starting all over. Yes, we will not have a development agreement, but it's zoned a particular thing, which I believe today is 3 stories, because what we gave Joe initially was an increase based
Commission
on
approval.
our code.
Right. It's 4 stories with commission approval.
Right.
Right.
So it's zoned as 3 stories. It's got its density, and we have an architectural review committee. So those things, I think,
there's safeguards in place.
yeah. But I hope Joe will move forward with this. I really do. Because I think, and I know he's looking to wind down. If I was him, I would too. It's one
Yeah.
of those worlds, I get it.
If I'm,
But I mean, I think we have enough protections, whether it's him or somebody else. We certainly don't have the money, right? I mean, there's no money to buy this.
he's getting into, he's doing an 8 or 10 room inn in Tarpon Springs too. So he's getting involved more in this, the hotel hospitalities, and he's excited about it. So, yes, we're starting over, but I can tell you, even if we controlled the whole piece and went out with an RFP, which we've seen in Clearwater and Oldsmar, hasn't been that fruitful. So I think in this situation, we got somebody that we can work with pretty well.
Is there anybody from the public that wishes to speak to this? Okay, so you're looking for consensus direction to move forward with the termination of the development agreement and remove our option.
That's correct. Fundamentally, the question before you is whether or not you want to get the appraisal. If your answer is no, then it follows that you're not interested in repurchasing the property, because the agreement requires an appraisal.
Well, if I may, I'm just going to give my thoughts holistically, because I certainly behind the scenes was saying this is a decision the commission should make. It should
Yes.
be right here. It shouldn't just get lost in the sauce. And I did that because I'm a longtime believer in, keeping a chip in the game, right? Originally in 2004, that property, I was here. I was involved with Bob in buying it. It was for the city hall or controlling a development on the east side part of our town. It got split up with the prior administration, Prizzuti, in a way that, I wouldn't have, but it happened. But either way, I mean, you like to control your destiny, especially we've all wanted it done as a holistic site, thought out, not broken up in pieces. And I do think in this case, all we'd be doing is disincentivizing that to jump ourselves in the middle and get really the 2 worst parcels of the whole site and just right in the middle of it and just throw it off. So, and I think that especially because Joe Kokolakis and Anna, I mean, they do good stuff and they're proven. He cares about our community. He's done great projects for our city. I'm ecstatic that he's willing to reimagine and do something different. I just did a ladies' staycation in downtown Dunedin. And I can tell you, that sounds like an exciting place at the Gateway to be in the future, because Dunedin just got so much. I think it'll add a lot to have that kind of an option, so I hope he's going to go in that direction.
Okay, the cat's in the way.
Uh-oh.
No, I missed the
Anyway.
cat.
That's like, that's, remember Deborah? Deborah had the cat?
And a
Yeah,
python.
Franco.
Anyway, bottom line is, I'm putting my faith in Joe and Anna, that, and I'll just remind him that, I know he's trying to wind down, but probably about his age or a little earlier, I ran for office in the city of Dunedin, and I could have wound down too, so I didn't. But I think, I have great hopes they're going to do a beautiful project there, and I'm going to support it, and I'm not going to get in the way of it, so.
Okay. Commissioner Tonga?
I think Bob has stated his position, and I agree with that.
Commissioner Gao?
No further comments. No, I just don't want to stand away in progress. I wanted, as Vice Mayor mentioned, have a chip in the game, but I don't think it's necessary here.
Commissioner Walker?
The only comment, this does not serve any purpose for the city, and I think it really does sound to me like this will be realized, and I think we press forward.
I agree. I'm fine with going ahead to the final termination and just starting over. I hope 6 months from now, he doesn't put the for sale sign back up. But that's his right, so. Okay, I think you have the consensus direction you need for this to move forward with the termination.
We do.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, we have, nobody reached out about commission discussions, so we'll move on to city clerk's update.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to do a quick update on the November 5th, 2024 election. I've had a few people asking, and so I just want to give a quick update. We do have 2 candidates for mayor. Vice Mayor Franey would be one of the candidates, and Commissioner Tonga is the second candidate for mayor. And then we do have a seat 1 candidate as well, Tom Dugard. And then I wanted to also put out there that I do have the election packets. I finished those up yesterday, so those I'll be able to give out. But everything is on the website, and they all state 2024. So all the information updated for this November 5th election that I'm able to get has already been updated on there. So thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to give that quick update because I hadn't done anything for this election cycle.
Okay, any questions for Rebecca? Okay, city manager update. We're all excited about your new format. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, it really is. In reading through it, it really is so clear and concise, and I appreciate staff and updating the city manager's report. So we have city manager's report and the Dunedin, Pinellas County Sheriff's Office Dunedin analysis for December of 2023, and that's it for my update. Thank you, Mayor.
Any questions for the city manager?
Jennifer, I was just trying to look in here to re-find it, but do we say how many vacancies we have in here? Current vacancies?
We talk about recruitment and
Yeah, I
who
didn't
we are
see
currently
that.
actively recruiting and positions that we've filled as part of the HR update.
Are we able to, yeah, I found it now. Are we able to get that as part of the update so we can kind of get an understanding of what vacancies we have, the number and kind of what they are?
So on your quarterly update?
On this, or is
Oh,
this
sure,
done
we can add
quarterly?
that, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just thought it'd be good because are we making progress in that area?
I think that we are making progress. We're filling a lot of positions. I see a lot in water, wastewater. And we have new recruitment software, which is speeding things up a little bit, NeoGov. So yes, we are recruiting and actively filling positions.
So do we know how many vacancies we currently have?
Teresa? She'd have to look it up.
Okay.
And we'll provide it in the city manager's update on a monthly basis.
Okay, could you provide that to us after the meeting and
Sure.
do it through email? And then, yeah, it would be great, I think, to track that number, because that number was a huge number for us as we did our paying class. And I know it's still hugely competitive out there right now, so.
Yes, we'd be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything for the city manager? Okay, city attorney update?
Thank you, Mayor. I do not have an update from the city attorney's office today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll go to commission comments. Vice Mayor, anything from your liaison?
I don't really have anything, just I think everybody knows, Welcome Back Blue Jays is the 17th, and it's on your calendars, so hopefully everybody will be able to be there. And opening day is the 24th, and it's also going to be the Mayor's Challenge, which, you know, the mayor's doing a lot of coordination with that, which is appreciated. And so it should be a couple great days. So that's really my only update from my liaison role for everybody.
Okay, Commissioner Torngo?
I have nothing to add.
Commissioner Walker?
No updates from me, ma'am.
Okay, Commissioner Gao?
Oh, my goodness, Mayor, our schools have been busy. Real quickly, and sorry, my head's a little foggy, but All-State Chorus, we had 4 Dunedin High School girls participate in All-State. For our All-County Orchestra, we had 4 Dunedin High School students participate in All-County Orchestra. 7 students from Dunedin Highland Middle School participated in All-County Orchestra. Central Florida Highland Games, first place goes to grade 4 City of Dunedin Pipe Band, and second place grade 4 goes to the high school. So we had the adults in the town beating up on our high school students. So I hope they feel very proud of themselves. But it was very nice that the City of Dunedin took first and second in the Highland Games. That's the first games of the season, and so we're looking forward to many more. That's it.
Okay, I'm trying to think. I don't think I have anything. Not true. Let me get my calendar. There is, on Saturday, the mingle at the museum Centennial Year Kickoff Celebration from 4 to 6 in our calendars. There's that Dunedin Golf Club restoration thing that we have at 3. And then today, there is a 1 o'clock ribbon cutting at Sea Love Dunedin, the new candle store.
And Mayor, I was going to say also, Random Acts of Flowers has their big event that night of Saturday, so I'll probably go to the golf course, but won't be able to do the Historical Museum because it'd be just too tight because I'm attending the Random Acts of Flowers one as well.
So I think the International Peace Walk is that day, too.
Ooh,
isn't it?
Sunday.
No, that's Sunday.
That's Sunday.
Oh, that's Sunday? Okay,
Sunday.
good.
Yeah, I think that starts at 1 or 1:30.
Right, okay, good.
Yeah, and I won't be at either of those events.
Yeah, I'll be at that.
Mayor, if I may, I'd like to kind of narrow down when the golf club would like to have you there, those who can attend, because I know that it starts at 3, but it goes on till 7, and I know that they have an agenda that we went over in our last call with them. So, and it really is.
You'll let us know.
Yes, they want to make a presentation to the city commission and staff, so I think it's very kind of them to do that, and I'll let you know specifically when that would be.
Okay.
Because Lindsay seemed to indicate 3 to 5 type thing, but.
Yeah.
But yeah.
They're going to start
Yeah.
that, though, at a specific time, so.
Yeah, and I
Well,
don't know
that would
if I
be
can
good
ma-
because 6 o'clock is when Random Acts of Flowers starts, so.
Yeah, and that's
just keeping
fancy.
it- Yeah.
Well, no, that's pirate.
I will be dressed as a pirate, so I prefer to have time to go change, you know.
Are you going to have a peg leg, or?
I'll have a sword,
Yeah.
so.
How was the scavenger hunt?
Oh, my God, it was so much, it was a lot of
I
fun.
was so sad to
It's-
miss that.
Yeah, it's really good.
I had a family event that I had to do, but I was so sad to miss that.
Yeah, it was good, and, yeah.
Do you know who ended up winning?
Uh,
It wasn't you, right?
It wasn't us, we were third, and we beat Paul Stanik's team, and that was the biggest thing we
Well, there
wanted
you
to do.
go. That's
But,
all that
you know,
matters,
yeah.
right? You beat Paul Stanek.
But yeah, no, it was good, and I mean, of course, you know, you go all around downtown in the community, so
Yeah.
you really learn more about the city. It's actually, you know,
It's really cool.
it's very cool, so it was great.
Yeah. Okay, anybody else? Rob? Okay. I don't really have anything. All right, if there's nothing else, we will adjourn this meeting very early.
Wow.